Cruise news time. We've got Royal Caribbean speaking out about cases on the Symphony of the Seas. They're also reaching out to past guests about an instance of Omicron. We see the CDC investigating a cruise ship put out there by Viking Cruises, and Carnival reporting their finances for Q4, and they took a loss. The question is, how big? Cruise news, let's talk about it. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Lido, Loca. I'm your host, Tony, here with the latest cruise news updates. Welcome back to the show. Welcome to the 20th of December, 2021, and we're running out of opportunities to say 2021. So get it out. Let's say it together a few times. 2021, 2021. Pretty soon we'll have to say 2022, a new year, a new adventure, a new opportunity to cruise, but 2021 is not letting go. There's a lot of cruise news out there, and look, let's jump into the biggest story of the day. There's cases on Royal Caribbean Symphony of the Seas. Now, look, I'm not taking credit for it. I don't know that as a community we could take credit for it, but there's 48 cases on Royal Caribbean Symphony of the Seas confirmed by Royal Caribbean and reported by many of the news media outlets that like to report these things, and not one of them have called it an outbreak. I don't want to say that it was my diatribe against using that word outbreak to, elevate hysteria. It's probably nothing to do with us. We're just a small, group of people here. But fortunately, if you go and look at the cruise news today, not one headline includes the term outbreak, even though there are 48 cases that have been reported by Royal Caribbean on the last cruise of the Symphony of the Seas. Now, to put it into context, over 6,000 crew and passengers on board, and so 48 cases represent less than 1% on that cruise ship. Maybe that's why they've tempered their language. But here's the deets. It's a tale of two cities, I guess. I don't know. Royal Caribbean putting out an official statement confirming 48 cases on the cruise that just returned to Miami yesterday. In their statement, they said that all the cases were mild or asymptomatic, and that all the policies had kicked in. They were not overwhelmed. They took care of everything in a way that needed to be taken care of, following their protocols. However, if you read through some of these articles that have interviewed people that were on the cruise ship, there are some conflicting stories. There are some concerns that possibly the cruise line was overwhelmed, some concerns that the policies may not have been followed, and so who knows? The truth lies somewhere probably in between all of that. But fortunately for us, we do know somebody that was on that cruise ship, and unfortunately for that person, they tested positive for the virus, but they're doing fine. Mild symptoms, close to asymptomatic from what I understand. And we may have an opportunity later on in the week to talk to her once everything fleshes out. We will continue to update the story as we know more. Royal Caribbean also reaching out to past guests on the Symphony of the Seas, the guests that were on this week and for the two previous sailings, because the CDC asked them to. The CDC asked them to after they were made aware of a passenger who tested positive for the virus once they returned from their cruise. They were on the December 4th cruise. They returned home and they were tested, and it was identified that they had the Omicron variant. Now, Royal Caribbean also addressed this in their statement, and they said that, the CDC had asked them to reach out to past guests, but the guest in question had never presented themselves to the medical staff on the cruise ship. And so they didn't know about this person being ill. It was only after they returned home or on the testing home that it was revealed that they had it. And then, of course, they had the Omicron variant. So they're reaching out to people to let them know. It does bring up a good question. I shared with you guys a video, and I'll link it above, about what happens if you test positive on a cruise ship. What is the process? And fortunately, we tracked along with what happens on Royal Caribbean. I'll link that video above if you want to check it out. And the way that story ties into this one is the couple in that story, they started feeling not well maybe a day or so before they reported to the medical facility. And it raises a huge question. At what point do you raise your hand on a cruise ship and say, I'm not feeling well? The challenge, obviously, is so many of the symptoms that are associated with the early onset of this disease are very similar to other things we deal with in life. Sore throat. Sometimes I talk myself into a sore throat, a scratchy cough. And so it's, probably the most prudent thing to do is that if you got any kind of symptoms, go ahead and report to the medical facility. That would probably be the most prudent and the safest thing to do when it comes to yourself and the rest of the community there on the cruise ship. I can imagine that, somebody gets a runny nose or a slight cough, or you got a little ache in your bones and it's similar to something else that you've had in life. You're probably not running down to the medical center saying, please test me for the virus. I'd say the best rule of thumb right now is if you're cruising and you don't feel good on any level, just get it checked out. That's probably the best thing to do. I would love to hear if that's your approach. But yeah, Royal Caribbean making a statement about Symphony of the Seas, the current cases, and then also reporting that they had to reach back out to passengers and tell them about this passenger on December the 4th. Cruise news story number 2 is kind of a crappy story. How about that? Kind of a crappy story, yes. Let's talk about Viking Sea. You may have heard it already. This happened a few days ago. The CDC working with Viking Cruises to investigate cases of gastrointestinal illness on the Viking Sea cruise ship. And it's not insignificant. 17% of the people on that cruise ship, 114 out of 640 passengers, have the gastrointestinal illness. And not to overshare, but the gastrointestinal illness resulted in those passengers having diarrhea. Can we say that on this platform? Diarrhea. So I think we can all imagine how uncomfortable that is. Now, interestingly enough, we're fairly familiar with, at least over the last, 18 months, we're fairly familiar with the CDC's no sail, conditional sail order, that part of the CDC. But this case doesn't fall under those regulations. This case is connected to the CDC's vessel sanitation program. The vessel sanitation program is a voluntary program where cruise lines agree to be inspected by the CDC for sanitation. And so the folks that do the investigating for the vessel sanitation program are the folks that are working with Viking Cruises to determine what's going on. They've already elevated their cleaning protocols. This is old school cruising. If you want to talk about cruising pre-pandemic, dealing with some GI outbreak on a cruise ship, it happens. Few and far between, but it happens. That's what's going on with Viking Cruises. Now let's move over and talk about Carnival Corporation and their... Oh, wait, hold on. Before we do that, before we talk about Carnival, I do need to do this. I was just given this piece of paper from Lido Loca Travel. Do you guys know Lido Loca Travel? That's the business that my beautiful wife Jenny runs. Team Jenny will help you with your cruises, and they've got a Christmas gift for everyone. This is a limited time offer, only good until the end of the year. This is a Royal Caribbean promotion. It's only for new bookings. If you want to book a balcony or above on a Royal Caribbean ship, Lido Loca Travel, we will cover the gratuities, free gratuities. Now, the only way that you can get this deal, of course, it has to be a new booking. You have to reach out to Lido Loca Travel. You have to reach out to Team Jenny. And the way that you can do that is through this email. Get in the queue, jbarnett@expediacruises.com. How about that? Thank you, Lido Loca Travel. And also, before we get to the Carnival Corporation news, let me invite you to subscribe. If you like staying up to date with everything that's going on in cruising, please consider subscribing with the notification bell on. That way you don't miss out on any of these episodes. How much money did Carnival Corporation lose? Well, I guess it could be worse. Let's start with the positive. Carnival Corporation did report revenue earnings of $1.29 billion. That's good. That means that the money is coming into the coffers, but unfortunately more money continues to go out, and they're reporting a loss of $2.62 billion in the fourth quarter, and this was larger than the projection. Anybody out there that's tracking along with stocks, when you don't meet your projection, it could be a challenge. Stocks are risky. But anyways, that's some financial news from Carnival. I'm sure we'll be hearing about the other major cruise lines reporting their Q4 numbers soon. Boom, that's your cruise news. And let me ask you this question. Do you like knowing the case count on these cruise ships? Does that inform you in a way for your cruising decision? Or is it just fun from a drama, sensationalism aspect of it? Why would you want to know the case count on cruise ships? And also, at what point do you go to the medical center? These are some tough questions right now in cruising, with seemingly on paper simple answers, but I would challenge you, think about it when you're on the cruise ship. See if you can put yourself in that mindset. You get a little sniffle on day 2. Are you going to the medical center or not? And if you saw somebody with a sniffle, would you tell them to go to the medical center? Interesting questions. Leave a comment below. Thank you so much for checking out the show today. You can show your support for La Lido Loca by hitting that like button. How about that? This is Tony with La Lido Loca. Until the next time, we'll see you on the Lido. Goodbye.